डी कंपनी की कमर तोड़ने के लिए आपको खास तौर से बुलाया गया था और जब से आपने चार्ज संभाला है तब से माहौल काफी हद तक बेहतर है।
Underworld is actually they are afraid.
क्या ये सच है that 26/11 के अटैक के बाद you made a promise to make Maharashtra ATS so strong कि वापस कोई हम पर आंख उठाकर देखने की जरूरत न करे?
So Daud Gilani becomes David Headley. Then he has visited India 8-9 times totally.
Before the attack.
8 times before the attack, once after the attack. They were in all 10, not Kasab and 10. It is basically in all 10. There was an attempt taken earlier in September. Probably the boat banged into some rock off Karachi itself. तो हमने कसाब को बताया था बाद में, भैया तुमको ऐसे बताया था ना तो आफ्टर लाइफ के बारे में एंड ऑल दैट, मरने के बाद में, तो चलो तुम हमारे साथ चलो. Then we took him to the morgue in JJ Hospital and we showed him all the bodies. They were all stinking. We made him remove his mask and smell the stink. Now are they smelling? Is there any aroma like you were told in the training? If you ask me even today, what has been the most satisfying tenure to you? It has been 8 years.
Sir, de-radicalization के बारे में हम बात कर रहे थे. You have worked so much on that front. About 400 youth you were able to de-radicalize when you were serving as, I guess, IG prison.
No, this was 8 years effort. Somewhere, I mean, it is felt that, criminal should not be condemned.
Crime should.
Crime should be.
क्या कभी दाऊद इब्राहिम इंडिया की गिरफ्त में होगा? When was the last time a Kashmiri felt terrified to even stand at the local bus stop? When was the last time a Mumbaikar thought twice before boarding the local train or even enjoying coffee at his favorite local cafe? When was the last time our well-wishing neighbors had the audacity to attack the Indian Army? Be it our 5-star hotels or hospitals, our schools or colleges, or our places of worship. We can now breathe without fear. Terrorism has no face, no religion, no nationality, and absolutely no humanity. Tomorrow is uncertain for all of us, but for us Indians, our today is safe. And who do you think is making this possible? Our superheroes. One such Jabaz on SoulSome today started his glorious career as an IPS officer, and ever since then has been the backbone of every crucial and sensitive operation the country ever demanded. Former Joint Commissioner of Police, Crime Branch, Mumbai. Additional Director General and Chief of the Anti-Terrorism Squad, the ATS, Mumbai. Additional Director General and Chief of the CID, Pune. IG Prison, Pune. ADG, who superannuated to Special Director General of the National Investigation Agency, New Delhi. One who never ever failed to deliver. An absolutely deserving recipient of the UN Peace Award, the Indian Police Medal, the President's Police Medal, and the Mahatma Gandhi Peace Award for his distinguished service to the nation. हर बार देश पर आंख उठाकर देखने वालों की इन्होंने आंखें नोच ली. With his wealth of experience and expertise, exceptional capabilities, and commendable spirit of upholding the rule of law, SoulSome with Sarika proudly presents to you the daredevil, Mr. Atulchandra Kulkarni.
Thank you.
Thank you so very much, sir, for gracing SoulSome with Sarika.
Yeah.
And we are really excited to finally we have you here.
True.
कहा जाता है, कितना सच है आप बताइए, that डी कंपनी की कमर तोड़ने के लिए आपको खास तौर से बुलाया गया था और जब से आपने चार्ज संभाला है तब से माहौल काफी हद तक बेहतर है.
In the crime branch, yes. In Mumbai crime branch, the main brief is to deal with the underworld. And of course, terrorism has now got added because underworld and terrorism somehow merged into one entity in 93 serial blasts of Mumbai for the first time that we noticed. So after my about 11 years of tenure in the IB, in different theaters including Delhi, Mumbai and Arunachal Pradesh, I came back to the state and then I was made Joint Commissioner Crime in Mumbai City. So there, of course, one dealt with the underworld and not the D company, but definitely I dealt with Chotarajan. It was possible for my team to get him back into India to face the Indian laws. And of course, a couple of others, about half a dozen of underworld players who were holed up abroad. We were able to get them to India and face the Indian courts. So to that extent, yes, a lot of work could be done against the underworld. And we have recently been reading in newspapers that underworld would want to rear its head again in Mumbai.
Really?
With the killing of one ex-MLA and minister, Baba Siddiqui. But I feel the time for that has gone. Mumbai police definitely has an upper hand, and that will not be possible and especially for a gangster who is not based in Mumbai. This person based in north part of the country, so I don't think it will be possible. But yes, Mumbai police has done well earlier in controlling the underworld, and they'll work harder to ensure that it doesn't return.
Wow, that is so reassuring.
Sure.
So, but since you were working in IB and since you were so close to people who were the cause of terror for so many years in our country, that is why my next question. दाऊद इब्राहिम, obviously. दाऊद इब्राहिम जैसा दिमाग हमारे देश को पता नहीं कितने सालों से खोखला करते आ रहा है. Just for the sake, in case you can, just for the sake of our reassurance, can you tell the nation कि क्या कभी दाऊद इब्राहिम इंडिया की गिरफ्त में होगा?
Again, much water has flown down the river, as they say. Even if he is kind of in India, you will not be able to achieve much. And so time has actually gone to get him back and, make him face the Indian laws. Though, of course, he has to do that because he has to face the Indian courts and find out for himself as to what he will be punished for and how much and all that. So I would say, ठीक है, वो आएगा, जब आएगा तब आएगा.
नहीं आता है तो अभी कुछ कर नहीं पाएगा.
हाँ, even now I think he's kind of incapacitated to a great extent in undertaking any kind of activity within the country because our own mechanisms have, developed quite a bit. The interagency cooperation has become seamless now at the national level as well as international level. And whenever it is required, immediately informations are shared, actions are taken, including actions, if any, abroad. So how that happens and all that, I think, leave it to the agencies. But yes, I think the citizens should be assured that the underworld is passé. Terrorism is more or less in the form in which we have seen in the last two and a half decades is definitely a very difficult thing for the perpetrators to undertake now.
Wow, that is so good to know.
Yes.
And coming from you, that is definitely a statement. Really?
Yeah, I think so. It is.
Yes.
We have really been able to shore up our.
So not just our agencies within the country, but you are talking about agencies within the country and outside the country as well.
Yeah, the associates, international associates and all that.
Which was not the case earlier.
We have been able to, last 10 years have actually been very good in terms of, beefing up the international cooperation and international assistance to us. If you recollect the first term of the Honorable Prime Minister, he was doing a lot of touring around.
Yes.
And there was a lot of comment in the public, not knowing what exactly is happening. But if you have seen the National Security Advisor was there in tow.
Yes.
Each time he went abroad to any country. And they have been able to forge those security ties with them, which have been long lasting and which have been now fetching results to you. So I remember while in the NIA, we were, in a span of 6 months, we were able to get 6 fellows who were holed up abroad just with the help of international cooperation. An aircraft would go from here, the local agency would have already been roped in. They will be knowing where it is going to get.
The operation will be carried out.
Where it is going to land, The fellow will be there, he will be immediately put on your aircraft, he'll come here. I mean, it was so flawless.
That is so good to know, really. सर आप जिसके बारे में खुल के बात कर सकते हैं उसकी बात करते हैं. दाऊद इस नाम से इंडिया का बहुत पुराना रिश्ता रहा है. दाऊद गिलानी को ले लीजिए, द मास्टरमाइंड बिहाइंड 26/11 attacks, infamously known as David Coleman Headley. So addressing the elephant in the room, all of us Indians by now are convinced that the 26/11 Mumbai attacks could have been prevented. But because we trust our top-notch intelligence agencies, with due respect to them, the IB, the CBI, the RNAW. But what we would like to hear through the horse's mouth is, why did we wait for something so terrible to happen in the first place?
So it's not so that, we waited for the things to go through. It's never like that. No agency, no country would like such kind of ghastly incidents to go through. So in this case, it so happened that it went through. But there have been instances, if I can quote the then Home Minister, Government of India,
Yes.
Mr. P. Chidambaram, he had mentioned that, for every one attack that goes through, there are 35 others which are prevented.
Correct.
So they never are seen. That those are never discussed. They are kind of consigned to the backyards or the back burners. And the only one which goes through is discussed and analyzed, and then always there is a cry of intelligence failure. So intelligence agencies, in any case, don't respond to such kind of arguments, and that has been the way they have been behaving, and the way they have been brought up to respond. But my honest take on the whole situation is, our intelligence agencies are very good. They are in the top few in the world. And if we want to say that, then in the US also 9/11 went through. And that was much more sinister and ghastly and all that. Even a country like US, there will be some slips sometimes. So in our country, probably we had this, but we have learnt a lot of lessons out of 26/11. And as I said, the intelligence sharing thereafter has been prompt. It has been more proactive within the country as well as outside the country. I have myself been a witness to the post-26/11 cooperation among the agencies. I remember I was the pointsman for the Government of India that time, being in the Central Intelligence Organization. And I was also sitting in Mumbai in the organization that time. So I was the points person for the Government of India to deal with all the international agencies which were coming in the aftermath of 26/11. Now the scene had changed so very drastically that on the one hand you had the 93 blasts ka one particular inquiry regarding a hand grenade found pending with the outside powers till 26/11 happened. But 26/11, we sent the queries to them. Of course, we were operating through a friendly country I would not want to name. And every information would come back to us within 24 hours.
24 hours is really...
Within 24 hours. In fact, in the case when this fellow came to be picked up, Kasab, famously called Kasab.
Yes.
Actually, he is not Kasab. His name is something different.
Yes.
But Kasab, he came to be called because he told his family's business is butchering. That's why usko kasab bola gaya, to kasab chalta gaya. Fine. So when he was picked up, me and one of my colleagues, who's now chief of one intelligence organization, he was flown in from Delhi. I was already in Mumbai. So we started questioning him in the middle of night, maybe 2:30 we started. And of course we were back to back relaying things to the our sister agency or the associate abroad, who were having their presence in the neighboring country, and they were coming back to us with the feedback.
Correct.
So our query is their feedback, and it was so very kind of seamless that by 6:15 in the morning we were pretty clear that these are the guys, these many guys from these many places in the neighboring country. This person is having this kind of a family, etc., etc. I mean, 90%, 95% of the data could be cross-checked, and you were ready with the information.
Yes.
Greatly. So yes, I mean, we learned our lessons. Then there were a lot of other agencies created in Maharashtra. I was part of Maharashtra police also. So there was this the special force was created. Intelligence setup was beefed up. We had our own intelligence cadre created again. And an academy came to be developed in Pune, Maharashtra Intelligence Academy. The energy hub came in Mumbai in the aftermath of 26/11. So today, if something happens in Mumbai and around, the energy hub is easily there, located to respond to it.
So I will take you back a little, a few minutes back, because you said Kasab came through with, and if I'm correct, Kasab came through with 10 other people, and वो मुंबई में घुसा through the local sea route, right? So obviously, local police station को तो इसकी भनक पड़ी ही होगी ना?
See, policing on sea is very difficult.
Very difficult.
2/3 of the world is sea.
Correct.
And I would say that 2/3 of the crime happens on sea.
Oh.
See, they boarded somewhere off Karachi.
Correct.
On a ship, on their own ship initially. The course of events is like this.
Yes.
Then when they came into the Indian waters, they got an Indian fishing trawler called Kubera, which was a Gujarati owner was there, and it was his boat. And they caught hold of the boat and kind of hijacked it. The owner also came to be killed subsequently in the boat itself, and then they traveled. The fellow David Headley or Daud Gilani
Yes.
had done the basic spade work for them and had fed every information in the GPS
Yes.
machine, and it was kind of given there. So for them it was easier to travel the Indian waters and come over to off Badwar Park in Mumbai.
Yes.
And land on the coast. In between, they had changed from that boat to a inflatable boat, rubber boat. It is not easy to locate all these
Yes.
things, and police is strongly placed on land. Police is rather weak on the sea. So on the sea, who is the controller? Basically, Navy, the Coast Guard, etc., etc.
Yes.
So this is not a kind of a pointing fingers at other agencies. There is now, of course, a much better coordination between agencies. But police को blame करना थोड़ा सा
मुश्किल हो
इसमें,
जाएगा.
हाँ, I mean, it is unkind to them.
No, my intention was absolutely not to blame anyone. My intention was that we had inputs, rather the IB had inputs that some kind of activity is definitely going to happen. So I wanted to get you on those inputs.
Yeah, so the inputs were there, steady inputs were there, including their practice in deep waters in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. I mean, there is a place, everything is now known. So they were practicing there. They were in all 10, not Kasab and 10. It is basically in all 10.
Okay.
And initially there were 17 of them.
Really?
So 7 people came to be dropped because they were not found worthy and up to the mark. Plus they were probably having some problem with seaworthiness and all that. So they had to be dropped. So they were dropped. There was an attempt taken earlier in September. And I think there were 2 attempts. So 2 attempts, one of them, first attempt, basically probably the boat banged into some rock off Karachi itself and it...
Was that the 28th September?
No, that was another one.
Okay.
Or maybe that one. I mean, I'm probably not able to recollect fully.
Okay.
But basically 2 attempts. And the second one again, they had set sail, but they got to know that there is a alert here, high alert. So they dropped the plans. So one occasion they banged into a rock and the operation got aborted. The other one is they had to abort it because of heightened security presence on our side. The third one, of course, went through on 26/11. By then, the seas also calmed down. So the inputs were there, steady inputs were there, which were time to time passed on.
Yes.
You have to really put together the jigsaw puzzle. And in the intelligence parlance, we have always said that if you get full intelligence in one go, it's a jackpot. And it happens only once in a blue moon types. So normally what happens is you are, made available only few pieces of the whole jigsaw. puzzle, and then you have to solve that puzzle. So there's a lot of extrapolation required, a lot of thinking and analysis is required. Somehow, somewhere, probably this could not happen to the extent it was required, and that's how the action went through.
Yeah. So, but when Indian boats were being hijacked, or when you didn't mention, so I would want to mention, and correct me if I'm wrong, it was the Mangala water dam where training was happening.
That's right.
Right? So these were kind of absolute eye-openers for us. And our intelligence agencies are working 24/7, 365 days. So when the first attack, for whatever reason, went wrong, or Pakistan deferred it, then does it so happen that इंटेलिजेंस एजेंसीज को ब्लेम किया जाता है?
नहीं, इसमें दो तीन चीजें हैं. सी मंगला डैम इज राइट, बट द इट इज ओनली अ लेटर नॉलेज दैट यू नो दे बैंग्ड इनटू अ रॉक, that the other attempt also was aborted. These are all later information. These are not any information which are available at that point of time.
Okay.
But yes, intelligence inputs in different forms were available, but the puzzle was not put together.
Rather, extrapolation of that entire information.
Yeah. And what happens, classically, people also have to understand, see, intelligence agencies are only in advisory role. They are not the actual performers on the field.
Yes.
Or in the field, wherever it is required. So ultimately, it is the local agencies, local police and security, other security agencies which work. So for example, if it's a sea coast, it is the Coast Guard, Navy Coast Guard, Navy in the international waters and Coast Guard in the 12 nautical miles of the Indian coast.
Yes.
Then you have police, then you have CISF in the ports. You know, number of agencies are there. So all of them have to put their energies and heads together and then face the thing. Somewhere something went wrong, and we have learnt our lessons after that. But yes, intelligence inputs were there, and I would not say that intelligence failure was there.
No, not at all. It's just
in fact, I can tell you, and this has also come out in the Pradhan Committee report and a number of other documents, that 4 or 5 places out of the 8 or 9, whatever,
yes,
they were already mentioned also as targets, possible targets. So
I would say they were pretty close. Out of 8 to 9, if they could be spot on with 4 places.
So again, there is a huge amount of international and national collaboration.
Yes.
Only then, you know.
So somewhere, if that chemistry doesn't work, then the result varies.
The chemistry has to work always. See, for a terrorist, it's only one success enough for them to, you know, rock your boat. But for the counter-terror agencies, it is always 24/7 you have to be successful.
Yes.
One failure and then you pay the price for that in terms of citizens' lives and all that.
So it's nothing like that we became complacent. Like एक बार warning दिया intelligence ने, attack नहीं हुआ. दूसरी बार दिया, attack नहीं हुआ. So तीसरी बार, it's not that we became complacent.
Not at all. Not at all that we became complacent.
Sir, कसाब के बारे में जब आपने बोला और उसके इंटरोगेशन के बारे में, तो ऑफ कोर्स वी विल टॉक अबाउट इट अ लिटिल इन डिटेल, बट व्हेन दे केम आई रिमेंबर यू हैड मेंशन्ड समवेयर दैट दे हैड इंडियन कॉलेज आइडेंटिटी कार्ड्स विद देम टू मेक देम लुक लाइक इंडियंस. सो कसाब के इंटरोगेशन के दरमियान व्हेन एंड हाउ डिड यू एग्जैक्टली कंक्लूड दैट पाकिस्तान वाज डायरेक्टली इन्वॉल्व्ड? Did he tell you?
See, Kasab was very relaxed when he was interrogated.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. And we were on the edge because, you know, things were happening there.
Yes.
And we wanted something to come out. So he narrated everything, but you had to cross-check it.
Yes.
Suppose he said, I belong to Okara district of Pakistan, which is where he was from. So, and I have family of this size. My parents do this. And I was paid this much of amount to come and join these people. And also I was actually, you know, into some petty crime before joining
the
these
terror
people.
organization.
So all these bits of information were immediately passed on to our friendly agencies abroad. They checked immediately on the field and they got back to us. So as I told you, morning 6:30, we were pretty clear as to where these people belong to.
Yes.
And what are they up to and what is basically the design. Whereas the terror attack is still on. Please remember, I'm talking about the first night.
Yes.
And the whole charade ended only after 3 days,
Yes.
probably. So it was very clear at early morning itself that they are from that place. But he was narrating practically everything, and he was very relaxed. Absolutely no regrets, no qualms. That I have been responsible for taking so many innocent lives and all that. Nothing.
That is even worse, no?
So they were trained like that. And I mean, I was amazed when he told that he agreed to work for this mission for 3 lakh Pakistani rupees, which is I think 2.6 or 2.7 lakh Indian rupees.
So just for that amount?
That amount. And of course, he was told and assured that suppose he dies in the mission, then his family will be looked after.
But that goes to show किती दरिद्रीपण आहे.
Of course.
In straight Marathi.
Of course.
If for 3 to 4 lakh of rupees, their youth is ready to do this.
But then that is not, I would say, it is not actually the poverty, but it is basically that you don't have much to do for yourself. So if you are anyways into petty crime, and if something is coming your way by
It's a lottery.
in terms of a bigger amount, then why not do it? Aisa.
Oh.
And plus you are always kind of called Shahid thereafter.
Of course. That is an added advantage.
One beauty of the terror organizations is, they have encashed post-dated checks with great ease and with great, I would say, aplomb. How they talk to the terrorist elements or the possible terrorist elements, the prospective terrorist elements, about afterlife. So after you die, you will get those, there is a famous thing, 72 wurs in after you die. So 72 हूरों का बात है, and 72 हूरे करके एक पिक्चर भी शायद आई है या आने में है, जो भी है. So it's a classic case of encashing a post-dated check today. And the guy falls for that and he says, okay, चलो मेरे को post life ये मिलेगा, after life में. So I'll do this today.
Unbelievable.
और उसको हमने कसाब को बताया था बाद में, भैया तुमको ऐसे बताया था ना सब आफ्टर लाइफ के बारे में and all that, मरने के बाद में, तो चलो तुम हमारे साथ चलो. Then we took him to the morgue in our JJ hospital morgue, and we showed him all the bodies. They were all stinking. I think this has come in one film also. Some film this has come. So they were shown the bodies, and we made him remove his mask and smell the stink. Now, are they smelling? Is there any aroma like you were told in the training? So then, of course, slowly things started getting onto his mind. But yes, this is how they have been encashing things which are in imaginary domain, practically.
I don't know, but I never thought I would say this, that I feel pity for these people.
Absolutely. But then this is how it is.
Sir, I would first and foremost salute you and also thank you on behalf of the entire nation, because you played a pivotal role in formally establishing the role of Pakistan in the 26/11 Mumbai attacks. So हमें उसके बारे में सब कुछ जानना है. Who was David Coleman Headley?
Okay. David Coleman Headley he was an American citizen with a mixed parentage, American mother and Pakistani father.
Okay.
Thereafter, of course, within I think 4 or 5 years, his mother and father broke from each other, and he came to Pakistan along with his father. And he studied in the, I'm forgetting the name of that school. If you recollect, there were 120, 150 boys killed there. The children were killed in the school. This is Peshawar-based school.
Okay.
So that school he studied along with the other accused, Tahabur Rana.
Okay.
And that's where they got friendly with each other, and the friendship continued. Now the fellow then again goes to USA. Then he gets into some petty crime, this, that, and the other. Then somehow he is into drugs also. I mean, trading of drugs. And by now he's grown into a very big and burly man with a very short temper. So he is found as an ideal candidate by the
Terror organizations.
because he was having a base in Pakistan.
Yes.
He was transiting in and out of Pakistan. He was having good contacts in Pakistan-Afghanistan border. which is basically the area where drugs are produced, and
Yes.
from
there it all starts.
So as famously called Golden Crescent and Golden Triangle.
Yes.
So crescent on this side and triangle on that side.
So he was working as a double agent?
No, he was working for them initially.
Okay.
Then at one point of time, I think 2001 or 2, he changed sides. Or maybe 2004. He changed sides, and when he was approached by the LET, he told yes, he would like to work for the Lashkar. And then he started working for them. Then 2006, he changed his identity on the advice of all these people. You have a mixed parentage, take benefit of that. Don't keep your Pakistani identity. Take a US passport on the changed name.
Okay.
So Dawood Gilani becomes David
Headley.
And then he takes a US passport. He takes a business visa, and then he starts entering India. Now here, if the Indian agencies are going to look at him, our immigration, etc., he's a Pakistani citizen with a US sounding name.
Yes.
Not a Pakistani name at all, not a Muslim name at all.
Yes.
Then he has visited India 8-9 times totally.
Before the attack?
8 times before the attack, once after the attack.
Some audacity, sir. Once after the attack?
Yes. 9th March after the attack.
Baapre.
And that time actually he did a survey of other installations in Delhi, Pune, etc.
And where was he staying all this while?
No, he used to come and go. No?
Acha.
He used to come and go.
Okay.
So each visit he would come here, stay for few days, few months, whatever was the requirement, do the assigned task, carry it out, जो भी photography करना है, जो भी करना है, वो सब करके, and that's when he came across this brilliant idea. He was tasked to target Siddhivinayak temple in Mumbai.
Is it?
So Siddhivinayak temple का photography वगैरह सब कर लिया. He went into the temple also as a devotee, posing as a devotee. वहाँ उसने देखा कि people are tying these red threads on their hand.
Oh.
So he picked up those red threads from there and went and gave it to them when he went back to Pakistan. Because each time when he was visiting India, he would later on go to Pakistan. And then he told them that this is one thing which they wear, and it
so
will,
Hindu lagoge.
So it will be very easy to pass off as Hindu. And that time, this was 2008, the 26/11 attack. 2006, Malegaon had already happened.
Yes.
And there was already talk of Hindu module. So he thought of encashing on that. Then that's how I'm coming back to one of your old questions.
Yes.
That's how the Pakistani people thought. Basically the Lashkar people thought that इनको बच्चों को हम Indian I-cards types दे देते हैं college के. So some southern India based colleges उनको Hindu नाम के I-cards दे दिए थे. And then they were probably also sporting those red threads, whether they were not.
Enough to come across.
The earlier question, one of the things which I didn't mention. Yes. See, Kubera is an Indian boat.
Yes.
So even if an agency comes across Kubera, it's an Indian boat.
Why would they
question that?
Have any suspicion?
Tandale of the boat, who was the owner also, he was kept alive till almost, one day before they landed on Badwar Park. Because they wanted to keep him alive and he will be able to talk to the agencies if required. So some questions from some agency, and then they killed him on the last day.
So why would we suspect our own people?
That was the problem. And it's a fishing area, known fishing area. In fact, sitting in our homes, we citizens feel very easy. It is very easy. Sea में कुछ समझ में नहीं आता है. Sea sickness is really a problem.
Yes.
And there are those tides. But somehow they have had those ideas and they came in. So coming back to Headley, then this is the way he carried out his tasks assigned. He opened an office in Mumbai for passport, as ostensible office of passport assistance or visa assistance. The company was originally owned by Tahur Rana and one more national, US national. So based on their instructions only, he was operating here. He bought an office. He hired an office. He hired an accommodation for himself to stay. He was pretty much moving in different directions and trying to do everything. So he had done a visit of Taj also.
Oh.
And the task given to him was probably there was a conference of defense officers. Some national conference of defense officers scheduled on some days in September.
Okay.
He had done this whole exercise for the September.
For the September attack.
So he was asked to do a proper recce of the conference hall there.
Okay.
So he had done that, all that, and he had done a virtual walk-through of the Taj also. And then he had carried all those videos.
All videos, footages, everything he carried.
Everything he carried, and he kind of discussed with them.
Huh.
So the plan was accepted by them.
Oh, so ऐसे plan हुआ था. After about 8 to 9 trips.
And actually then number of things out later on came once he was picked up and he was questioned in our own the same. So
yes. So coming to that.
See what happened. So 2009 March, I said he made his last visit to India.
Yeah.
So the guy had emboldened him. You know, he had got emboldened and he was working on a different assignment, visiting Denmark and carrying out something there. That was the assignment. So Denmark, why? Because if you recollect, those cartoons against the Prophet were first propped up in Denmark, in some local daily.
Okay.
बाद में it propped up in France also and all that. So Denmark has to be taught a lesson. So
पहले Denmark.
हाँ, तो उसको उस समय बताया गया था.
हाँ.
So when he was about to take off for Denmark from the O'Hare airport of Chicago, that's when he was picked up by America. Because, I mean, I don't know, but Denmark probably is one of the friendly countries and NATO countries and all that.
That was a little easier for them to pick him up from there.
And probably...
बता दीजिए sir.
I mean, they would not want anything to happen to Denmark.
Okay.
If something more were to happen to India, it was okay.
Oh.
So anyway, he was picked up and he was questioned, and NIA team also went that time. They were given access, etc. And then I mean, cut to crime. I tenured in crime branch. Yeah. I landed in crime branch, and then since I knew Mr. Ujjwal Nikam for quite some time.
Yes.
So we met and we were both kind of tracking the trial in the 26/11 terror attacks. And he mentioned that we have to get this fellow to depose in our courts.
Yes.
I said, fine, no problem. So we got the judgment of US court and all that. By then he was convicted also.
And for that you had to travel to US as well, right?
Yeah, we did 2 trips together.
Yes.
And we went and met the defense team there on the second trip. We went and met the US Department of Justice major functionaries. And also there was, I can only say this, that there was our top executive to writing to their top executive, that kind of a
camaraderie.
Yeah. And that kind of equations were set to get this whole thing going.
So you were very clear that this is your intention behind questioning David Coleman Headley, is it?
Yeah.
So US knew what our intention was.
Yeah, they knew.
And they still allowed you to depose him?
No, their only worry was, and I mean basically because Headley was expressly barred by the US courts to be deported.
Acha.
But
Deposition allowed.
But he was allowed, definitely he was in fact encouraged to video depose in the courts abroad. And if he doesn't do that, then he would be punished.
Okay.
So that kind of a proviso was there.
Yes.
So then he was picked up, he was questioned that time, and then when we went and we met these people, we put the whole thing in motion.
Yes.
Then what kind of questions we would want to ask, etc., everything was tied up. It's a huge exercise basically because, you know, he had to be giving his video evidence before Indian courts. Now you have a time difference. He was going to appear from there.
Yeah.
He was to appear from an undisclosed location. They were very apprehensive about that.
Yes.
So in the court, it was a huge thing. We had to seek permission from the High Court because our courts had to function in the early morning hours. So from morning 7:30 in India to 1:30, we would work, which was exactly opposite there.
Exactly.
7:30 in the evening and 1:30 in the night, midnight, past the midnight. And the court proceedings would happen. I would be making a gist of the proceedings and sending it to Delhi that day itself. So usually tasking activity, but yes, the first time, as you rightly said, the role of Pakistan as a state came into picture.
Yes, sir.
Because of Headley's deposition. Because till then Pakistan got away saying that, you know, they're all non-state actors.
Exactly.
So state has no role to play. And this is the first time when serving Pak army officers' role came on record. And number of other things got clarified.
Yes.
Each day I was briefing media there after the proceedings for about 20 minutes, telling them things. But yes, so in the end it was all clear. And then he narrated all these things, that how he visited Siddhivinayak temple, he did that, he did that. And courtroom would be jam-packed. And there were two big TV screens. On the one screen we had Abu Jindal, who was lodged in Arthur Road prison in India itself, Mumbai itself, who was appearing because it was case against him.
Okay.
And on the other screen this Headley would be appearing.
Baapre.
And it was all open, and they were also, if they wanted, they would question each other, but then that was never, that was allowed. They never wanted to.
Oh.
Because this guy was, David Headley was saying, who's Jundal? I don't know him. I'm too big. And Jundal was saying, मेरे को इससे क्या करना है? I have nothing to do with it.
और अपना काम हो गया दोनों
अपना काम हो गया. So it was an interesting thing.
बाप रे, that's right. Thank you so much for doing that for us.
Yeah.
Because हर बार we used to be like, नाम नहीं ले सकते, अब नाम ले सकते हैं. You know? So for us as citizens, that is extremely important.
Yeah.
Sir, क्या ये सच है that 26/11 के अटैक के बाद you made a promise to make Maharashtra ATS so strong कि वापस कोई हम पर आंख उठाकर देखने की जरूरत ना करे?
हाँ, but promise to myself.
Of course.
I mean, these kind of promises cannot be made to the public because tomorrow something goes wrong.
No, sir. This I understood from my single source, sir.
Okay. So I had definitely kind of promised to myself. In fact, I'll tell you a very interesting thing.
Please.
2013, I came back to the state. And initially, I was there in the state police headquarters doing some kind of work which was required to be done. And the DGP asked me to put up a list of officers who should go where to him. Because there was season of transfers. And he said, what is your take on the IPS transfers? So I made a list myself, handwritten, kahin hogi mere paas ho. And in that I had proposed to him to downgrade the post of ATS chief to the level of IG and post a good IG there. I had suggested a name, but I mean I didn't suggest my own name. But in my mind of, in deep thoughts, I wanted to work there and do really the best of the works. And as you said, I promised to myself when I was really posted to the ATS after my crime branch stint that I'll ensure that Maharashtra, nobody looks at Maharashtra ever again. For 3 years, good 3 years, I was heading the ATS. It's a everyday battle, let me assure you. And we could develop a very good, robust network of sources across Maharashtra and develop the technological capabilities of the ATS to a great extent. On our own efforts and intelligence, we registered few cases. I was that time looking at left-wing extremism, Islamic militancy, so to say right-wing extremism also, because the Abulkar case also came to be looked at by me. And I mean, every conceivable theater of terrorism and insurgency we were looking at, and we were able to really develop a very robust machine. ATS Maharashtra is a very small thing in terms of numbers, but it's a lean and mean machine. And I wanted it to be that way only.
A close-knit network.
Close-knit network, and everyone would be known to me, and I would be knowing what he is doing, he or she,
important.
And how can I connect with him. So my connection was direct. So Naxal theatre also, I would directly talking to the officers in the theatre and telling them what to do, what not to do, etc. So a very good, robust network we could build of officers, of informers, of sources, and that has actually...
So, but your tenure as ATS chief was particularly challenging because ये सब उसके बाद का सब simultaneously so many things that you mentioned going on. Yeah, this is the case with every ATS officer.
Basically, you have to have the right aptitude and liking also for the job.
Yes.
So I had liking for the whole job, and then that's how I wanted to develop my officers, their abilities. There was a capacity building going on continuously.
Force 1 it was called?
No. Force 1 is different entity.
Okay.
They are supposed to intervene when situations like 26/11 happen.
Okay.
That's basically the idea. But I was aware, I was looking at the whole state. I was also continuously in touch with the central agencies and the neighboring states and other states. And it was a very healthy kind of a setup that we could, robust kind of setup that we could build.
Wow.
Only one thing which I wanted to tell you was we wanted to have, I was looking at Sikh militancy also, incidentally. We did a case in Pune also.
We will come to that.
and the Bangla militants. You name them, you name them, and we have done the cases. I realized that the activity of Sikh militancy is improving, or rather growing in Navi Mumbai side. And the activity of Islamic militants of PFI, now PFI is a banned entity. We only took a lot of action after going to NI. As a result, it came to be banned in the whole country. Popular Front of India. Now, so PFI activities are increasing in the Solapur side.
Yes.
So I requested the state government. Fortunately, the state government and the chief minister then were Mr. Fadnavis only, were very proactive. Whatever you ask for the ATS, they will immediately provide it. There was absolutely no problem. And immediately. So I said, I want 2 units of ATS created. बोले पहले ही 12 है. And yes, 2 करने हैं. So then which 2? I said 1 in Navi Mumbai, 1 in Solapur.
Okay.
Here Sikh militancy, PFI there. Well, I will not be able to give you manpower, not a single person extra. I said, fine, no problems. I will manage from my manpower. Their task was specific. So what kind of information they are supposed to generate, what kind of oversight they are supposed to have. So that could happen. So it has been, if you ask me even today, what has been the most satisfying tenure to you? It has been 8 years.
It shows definitely.
And I felt very strongly about several things there.
Yes, sir.
And we could do it.
And we were lucky to have you at the right time as ATS chief. So in 2008, about 800 terrorist cells were operating in India. Just roughly. I may be wrong with the figure. But what I want to know is, आज वो figure क्या है?
Obviously, the modules will deplete. The number of modules will deplete. But at the same time, you had problems of ISIS rearing its head in the form of IS
Khalistan cadres?
Khalistan cadres, of course. IS Khorasan province, KP. Then you had AQIS, Al-Qaeda in Indian subcontinent. These things had cropped up in 2017 times, 2016, 2017. And they were actually on the rise.
So Maoists भी तो थे. Maoists भी तो थे.
Maoists are always there. They were left-wing extremism. मैं बोल ही रहा हूँ. They were always there. So their influx was there, and that had to be controlled. In between, if you recollect, I think 2019 February there was a blast in Sri Lankan church, in Sri Lankan capital, and a lot of casualties. So neighborhood also you have to be watchful. What is happening in the neighborhood? Again, now recently we have provided, if you have read the newspapers, we have provided an input to Sri Lanka, saying that you are threatened from the Islamic militants, and they have been able to neutralize some people. So we kind of provide that kind of information also. So all in all, the number of modules, since you are asking,
yes,
I mean it could be anything. My only take on it is, they should be less adventurous in India for their own benefit. That's
and
all.
The only reassurance we want is that they are on a decline.
Yeah.
That's all.
See, if the numbers, whether they are on decline or not, what I want is their activities have to decline.
Yes.
And they have to be mindful of the consequences of their activities, which they are now. Our Uri attack reply and things like that, Balakot attack, they have also come in handy. So they know ki we will be, roasted and fried if we do something.
So if you go to say, कोई भी देश perfect नहीं होता, उसे perfect बनाना पड़ता है.
It's always a process.
Definitely, the present government is doing something different.
Very true, very true. Even I would say that as a citizen,
yes,
I would feel reassured कि भाई चलो, nothing much is happening.
Nothing much is happening.
And that is a good thing.
That is a good
yes.
So because एक time था कि पता नहीं कल क्या हो जाए. So वहाँ से यहाँ तक, this is progress.
It's a good journey, and I think we have to continue to maintain this.
Yes.
The pressure has to be maintained, and upper hand has to be maintained.
100%.
And for that, every day constant vigil is the only answer. There is no other choice.
So ये Eagle Brigades क्या होते हैं?
Eagle Brigades are basically the informal ginger groups made in Mumbai of youths who are wanting to work with the police.
Okay.
In their own area for helping in law and order, crowd management.
So हमारी भाषा में पुलिस के
खबरी नहीं, पुलिस के साथीदार.
So but what was the guarantee that these were not double agents?
Yeah, exactly. So we were always keeping watch on their day-to-day activities also.
Keeping a watch on your own people, keeping a watch on so many multi-directional threats. It is absolutely not.
That you have to do, unless you maintain a constant vigil on everything, it is not possible to maintain good security situation in the country.
So what are lone wolf attacks and why were they a major cause of concern for Maharashtra?
They are a major cause of concern for the whole world.
Oh.
Let me assure you, not only for Maharashtra. And they will continue to be a major cause of concern basically because a lone wolf is a lone wolf. He doesn't share what is on his mind with anybody. He doesn't share about the progress of radicalism in his mind. So how he has got himself radicalized?
We don't know.
He doesn't know. I mean, he doesn't reveal to anybody.
Okay.
Yeah. So we don't know.
Okay.
So I may be sitting next to you and we may be chatting,
not
but
knowing.
you still may not be knowing what am I thinking.
Oh.
And this has happened. I mean, we have picked up fellows from Pune also, from in IT sector, from Mumbai, from number of places.
So educated youth.
Oh yes, educated youth.
Rather, I would say educated youth only.
I mean, because they know a number of things and they would be alive to several things, including the computers, the latest in computer domain, I mean cyber domain, etc. A lone wolf gets trained on computer, sitting in his closed room, bedroom or whatever, and 24/7 the computer is available. There are DIY kits which are coming from the computer.
Oh.
So any youth who is kind of throwing some query which is of their interest, they'll immediately pick him up.
Oh.
I can tell you one case in Parbhani, we had picked up 4 youths, and this is a classic case. They were given the DIY instructions to buy material from the locally available material from the market, assemble an IED. IED is an improvised explosive device. So assemble a bomb, basically a bomb. IED is a bomb. And test it in the way it has been prescribed, etc. So everything online. These guys even had sworn their allegiance to the Islamic State over net. They were told you have to, this kind of an oath has to be taken.
Okay.
It was a prescribed oath. So these guys wrote it on a piece of paper and uploaded it on the system as instructed. There is a city called Nice in France.
Okay.
A classic case of 2016 or 17, I'm forgetting, or maybe 18. This guy got radicalized online, and he snatched a truck from somebody and rammed it into public. Some 80-90 people got killed. This was a major attack. That was a lone wolf attack. Number of such attacks have happened all over the world. So lone wolf attack is definitely going to be a major worry for the future, because you don't know when the mindset has changed and when the fellow
and from where it will come.
And plus when the fellow is going to take to violence. So it's going to be a challenge.
Sir, de-radicalization के बारे में हम बात कर रहे थे. You have worked so much on that front. About 400 youth you were able to de-radicalize when you were serving as, I guess, IG prison?
No, this was ATS effort, mainly when I was heading the ATS.
So tell me, what I want to know is, because this is educated youth, how are they falling into the trap of these terror organizations? Education का क्या मतलब होता है? I would understand if they were unemployed or didn't know where to take their life.
No, it's a very well designed process which they follow, the handlers based abroad.
Yeah.
So initially some normal domain of WhatsApp, Twitter, etc., which is everybody doing.
Yes.
There will be some discussions. Now there are watchers, cyber watchers of theirs who are watching who's doing what kind of activity. So somewhere they'll find some fringe elements. हमारे साथ ऐसे हुआ है, ये हुआ है, वो हुआ है.
So vulnerable कौन है?
ना इंसाफी है, तो vulnerable कौन है उनको pick up करेंगे. Then they'll start connecting with them individual basis. So individually, then they'll be told to come on certain platform. Then they'll be also told to change the identity to certain platform. I am just using the word certain platforms. The platforms are known, but basically they'll be told to change on to come on certain platforms with certain IDs, and then the communication will start back to back and back and forth. And the communications, they will slowly start acting on the minds. So suppose he is in India, this fellow. he or she, even girls are there. So if he is in India, then the Indian political situation will be discussed.
Okay.
And they will be told how injustice is being done to them.
Oh.
Of course, I mean, they only need that trigger. So these guys will, narrate number of other instances where they have been done injustice to. So then they'll build on that.
So, but that is the modus operandi.
They will build on it. Then slowly there will be a change of handler. They don't want to expose themselves too much to these people.
Yes.
So global to local or local to global, anything can happen.
Correct.
Depending on how the initiative is initially. So global भी हो जाता है कभी कभी कि global situation में ऐसा है, पैलेस्टाइन में ये हो रहा है, हमास के साथ ये हो रहा है, हिजबुल्लाह के साथ ये हो रहा है, बड़ी नाइंसाफी चल रही है, वगैरह वगैरह. And then slowly come down to the local situation. Then of course they are worked out. Then we have to do something. Then what to do? Then we carry out jihad. How? And तुम वहीं पे बैठ लो, वहीं पे कर लो जिहाद. कैसे करना है क्या है? Then the DIY kids follow it.
So पर ये पहले जो काफ़ी अरसा लगता था टेक्नोलॉजिकली, दिस इज द ड्रॉबैक. ये अब अबाउट 1.5 month में जिहाद का
बिल्कुल 40 days, as one of my senior colleagues had put up in one of the conferences. 40 to 42 days में their mindset and worldview has changed. Whereas earlier times they had to go physically to across the borders in Pak occupied Kashmir, get trained, जिसमें ये सब training मिलता था, radicalization होता था, and that would be a process of 9 to 10 months at least.
बाप रे.
So you have hastened it to, the internet has hastened it to 1.5 months.
So 1.5 महीने में जिहादी तैयार. So with time, the enemy has also become very intelligent about the ways in which they are invading. For example, the recent intelligent way, rather the business-oriented way in which China invaded India. Can you tell us about that?
See, China, I always say with some zest that China, the only straight thing about a Chinese is his hair. Jokes apart, basically, the Chinese have always been really very difficult to handle. See, I'll tell you one very interesting thing.
Yes.
We have JNPT in Mumbai. Now, what happened is JNPT के third terminal का tender निकला. So, some companies, when I was in the intelligence setup, I got a query from Delhi कि these are the companies, इनको जरा थोड़ा check कर लो. So, when we checked, we found, we practically had given them a go by. ठीक है, चलो, no problems, doesn't look a problem. But one of my officers said, नहीं सब ये company थोड़ा मैं देख लेता हूँ. So then the fellow went and he immediately got the details and he said, sir, this is a front company for Chinese. I said, how are you saying that? So he showed me all the participants, I mean the company shareholders, and 90% was held by Chinese company. It's a very famous company. And 10% was the cover Indian entity. I said, boss, this is a problem. This is a huge flag because the JNPT falls in such an area. If you are aware of the topography, there are at least 30 odd sensitive installations in that area, including naval dockyard and so many other things. And then we sent our report and all that. In the end, the Chinese never got into the JNPT. So that was the victory for us.
Yes.
This is the way Chinese operate. But we were on to something else, you said?
Yeah, we were on to exactly this. The sensitive channels through which the Chinese were trying to invade, and these were more of intellectual than the terror organization.
Yeah. But then besides this, the Chinese designs are always kind of very convoluted and malified. So Chinese are a difficult entity to deal with.
One side it is.
If you recollect, just one kind of quote.
Yes.
George Fernandez was our defense minister. And whatever he was, I used to admire his off-the-cuff remarks. So he had made one comment, if you recollect, that Pakistan is, don't worry about Pakistan, it's not our real enemy. China is our real enemy.
Really?
And this he had said in 1999, if I recollect properly.
Sir, the recent encounter of the NIA against Chota Shakil, complete pest control ho chuka hai?
To a major extent, there has been control. See, what happens is these guys go into newer and newer domains. So they are no more into street fights. I always, when I say look at my own career of 34, 35 years, I say that in my first decade of service, I saw street fights between gangsters.
Yes.
The next decade, they had become a little smarter. So this is the decade of 80s and 90s, and the second is 90s and 2000s. So the second decade, they had ganged up with terrorists and brought in the consignment of RDX and carried out bomb blasts. So terrorism के साथ में nexus आ गया second decade में. Third decade में they were more smart. They straight away started forging equations with the builders and the film stars. And they started having their cut. So the film stars were told आपके international rights जो भी film के होंगे उसका 20% हमारे पास आना चाहिए. Whatever, I mean, I'm just quoting a percentage. Same applies to the builders. You name the biggest builders in the country and they have had a dealing with them.
Is that how Iqbal Mirchi and Daud people had so many properties in Bombay?
Of course, of course.
Oh, that is how, because which is
No, but then the properties are never held in their own name.
Correct, but they own it.
हाँ.
So they have.
So it's a benami ownership.
हाँ.
It's a benami ownership.
But वहाँ पर बैठ के सारा cooking तो होता है ना?
हाँ. Something or the other keeps happening. So I would say that yes, their activities are greatly under control. But if you ask me whether the paste is controlled, I mean paste is controlled only.
So you are slowly cutting all the wings.
करना पड़ेगा ना वो, करना पड़ेगा. And these guys, I have spoken to them while in the crime branch. बुला के खड़ा करके बात किया है. 3 दिन बिठा के.
आप और हमारे जैसे लोग होते हैं, बात करते हो आप जब 3
Underworld is actually they are afraid.
Really?
हाँ, they'll start immediately गिड़गड़ा. But terrorist is a different ballgame.
Yes.
Terrorist is committed. And terrorist is, he is not doing it for money. He is doing it for idealism.
Jihad.
And, हाँ, so वो अलग है.
Yes.
उसको break करने के लिए you really need patience.
So what makes Mumbai the most challenging situation when it comes to law, order, crime? Because Mumbai में सबके लिए जगह है.
See, places like Mumbai, Hong Kong, etc., which are harbors of old times and reputed. I use the word harbor deliberately because marine world is the basic world which is problematic.
Okay.
So everything happens in the sea, and since Mumbai has three sides of it's covered in water, sea water, so it's bound to have all those things. Plus its proximity to Pakistan via sea, plus its proximity to, I don't know if you're aware, there is a police station called Yellowgate in Mumbai.
No.
Now Yellowgate police station was once upon a time controlling territory of the sea till the African coast.
Is it?
Yes. And one of the oldest police stations.
Baapre.
So, interesting things. Now also it has got one of the biggest jurisdictions. But it is very difficult to control the operations on the sea.
Which is why it is making it easier for.
And which is why underworld is also wanting to control the operations on sea.
So he is not just a terrorist, he is a businessman.
Obviously, otherwise they will not be able to run their empire.
Correct.
पैसा कहाँ से आएगा? So the sandalwood smuggling, the diesel smuggling, the port authorities में जो चलता है सामान का उतरना चढ़ाना.
So सब मिल बांट के खाते हैं.
हाँ, मिल बांट के खाते हैं.
So what is the biggest challenge that we are facing from all the terror organizations, according to you, which is the biggest challenge?
No, in terms of what?
In terms of these coming together. Like पहले सिर्फ पाकिस्तान ISI था, फिर इधर बांग्ला अंसारुल्लाह था. According to you, in the conference that you mentioned, are these all coming together?
No, there are two things in this. There are some Pakistan-based jihadi organizations which are having different names, Jaish-e-Mohammed, Lashkar-e-Taiba and all that. I mean, you have actually, at one point of time, I was tired of counting. So there were 30 odd organizations with some name. Al-Badr, this, that. So they have something called United Jihad Council in Pakistan, which is an umbrella body controlling all these jihadi organizations, and it works in a very professional manner. So if something has to be carried out in Delhi, the best presence of currently in Delhi is of Jaish-e-Mohammed, so give it to Jaish-e-Mohammed. Mumbai is definitely a stronghold of Lashkar-e-Taiba, so give it to Lashkar-e-Taiba. That way, so, and then of course the compensations will also be decided, etc., etc. So it works in a very corporate manner. This is as far as the organizations based in POK goes. But if you look at international organizations, they have a different kind of a bonding. So let's say Al-Qaeda.
Huh.
Al-Qaeda is one all over the world, and Islamic State is one all over the world. So at one point of time, Islamic State had 21 wilayats. Now what is a wilayat? Wilayat is like a colony. So we were a colony of Britishers, geographically separate or geographically at a distant place, but being run by the rules and procedures of that country, main country. So all these are outwardly different organizations, but inside they are one.
So
And also across the organizations like IS and Al-Qaeda also will come one, I mean they'll be one at one point of time. Somewhere in the hierarchy.
Baapre.
And a lot of money is involved in it because Afghanistan there is huge amount of drugs which is produced. Most of the drug money goes to IS and Al-Qaeda, and of course Taliban. Iraq, all the oil which was produced was once upon a time between 2014 and 17 when IS was controlling fully. It was being sold and the proceeds were pocketed by IS.
Okay.
And it was being sold to whom? To all the Western countries. So on the one hand they will say ki we are against IS and such entities, and on the other hand they will buy that oil because it was cheaper.
So we spoke about jihad, we spoke about khilafat, we spoke about so many different ways. A little bit on love jihad. हमने recently ये movie देखा केरला story. आपने real life story देखी होगी. But goosebumps, literally goosebumps, when you see these helpless parents of helpless girls. And more than that, disheartening is the helpless police and the helpless system. कोई कुछ कर ही नहीं पा रहा है. So what can we as parents or responsible citizens do to help you nip all of this in the bud?
Yes, you see, parents have actually a very big role to play. When I was doing the study of radicalization and working out ways for de-radicalization, I realized that it's a four-way thing. So family has a role to play, the individual of course has a role to play. So individual, family, the clergy, whichever religion it is, and the society. The family has to be watchful. These days the parents have become busy.
Yes.
Earlier times one of the parent was at least at home, mainly mother, and mother has a different instinct about what is happening to the child.
Correct.
Now since mother is not at home, she is also working, so there's no oversight on the child for a good period in the day, in the whole day, and add to it number of days and number of months and all that. So it comes to that. So good watch is required from a distance. You don't have to condemn the child, you don't have to admonish the child, you don't have to really pull up the child for anything. So like, is the child changing more SIMs very frequently?
Okay.
Is the child changing, is the child switching screens when the parent is coming near?
Yes.
So you have to see, and it could be something very obscure also, or something which is very not relevant also. So if that is so, no problems. But if it is this thing, radicalization, then it's a problem. But don't put a parental lock. The parental lock is going to irritate the child, and then it is going to find out the child is more smart. Child is going to find out a way to beat the parents, because parents are not as tech savvy as the child, 100%. Till the child comes of the age, in the sense, let's say graduates.
Yes.
Post the child graduating, probably really there is not much in the hands of the parents. Because suppose the child goes abroad or goes somewhere else to pick up a job, and there something happens, then how can the parents be blamed? But again I would say, I remember my own father visiting me when I was doing education. He would visit me for a day. It was a indirect thing, a little bit of a personal thing, but I think it is not out of place. So I was at 250 kilometers from where he was staying, and there was no direct bus. He would change bus at one place. So early morning he will get up at the place, change the bus, reach my place by about 12:30 in the afternoon. Be with me for half an hour. Both of us will go together to the mess where I was eating, and he will spend some time, find out what I am eating, etc., etc. He will meet 1 or 2 teachers. He will tell me, take me to 1 or 2 teachers, meet them, discuss something with them, catch the afternoon bus by 3 or 4 o'clock, and then reach the place again by 11, 12 in the night, and then he has to be working the next day.
Yes.
A very hard thing to do, but he was doing it very regularly. So now how many parents really do that? That oversight has to be there.
Yes.
And that connect has to be there. More than the oversight, it has to be a connect. If you're going there and bossing around with the child is not going to be liking it.
You just have to find out if everything is in place.
Make the child comfortable also. If the child is, in any way in distress, if you find it, then the child has to be made comfortable.
Yeah.
So this kind of a personal rapport building with the child should actually see through the things.
Your focus has always been on eradicating the crime and not the criminal. For example, when you were IG prison, you've always wanted to give the prisoners a second chance to life. How did you go about it?
See, whenever I take over a new position, I study things quietly for a couple of months. I will never go there with a preconceived notion as to I'll do this, I'll do that, or I'll change this, I'll change that. I want to learn what is there, internalize it, and then look at the problems and then find out the solutions. So among the prisoners, and especially among women prisoners, I found that they have actually nothing to look up to once they come out of the jail, as and when they come out. Women, so there are no takers, the family doesn't come to take them. So the thought started on my mind, what can be done? So can we provide them some kind of skills within the prison, while within the prison, which will be helpful for them to stand on their own feet once they are outside. Because nobody gives them jobs, they are ex-prisoners. So they have to actually find out solutions for themselves, and for that, skilling is one of the major areas. So I tried to use a mechanism called Rural Self-Employment Training Institutes, which is a Ministry of Rural Development, Government of India program, and I would call it a silent revolution, basically because the boys or girls, they are taught skills of their choice between the training period spans between 1 week to 6 weeks, 6 or 7 weeks. After that, the lead bank of the district, which is handling that training center, provides them the finances and does hand holding for 2 years.
Oh, that is great.
And the same thing I also try to do in prisons.
So they have a life after the prison life.
They have to have something to look up to. Otherwise, they'll get back into crime.
Exactly.
Somewhere, it is felt that criminal should not be condemned.
Crime should.
Crime should be.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Sir, इतनी देर से हम बात कर रहे हैं about those who are on the wrong side. अब बात करते हैं about those who are on the right side of it. I am coming to our police officers, our commandos, our ATS officers. हम जैसों के लिए it is very difficult to digest कि किस मिट्टी के बने होते हैं ये. इनको मौत का खौफ नहीं होता.
I'll give you answer which was given by the great General Manek Shah.
Oh.
I hope you have seen that
yes,
video clip. So basically, अगर कोई ये कहता है कि मैं डरता नहीं हूँ, तो he had said that he has to be either क्या नेपाली क्या होते हैं वो? Gurkha. He has to be either a Gurkha or he has to be insane. Only 2 people will not be afraid of death.
Yes.
So he said, अगर आपको डर लगा कि नहीं लगा, when somebody came to his tent with open sword, so he said डर तो पक्का लगा. So डर लगता है, इन लोगों को भी लगता है, these jawans who are working. But there is something beyond that which propels them into action, and then they work in that direction, mindless of their own life.
And once they encounter a threat to life, are they ready to go back on that mission again?
Yes,
for example, जब कसाब के attacks किए, they went from one place to the other to, so जो आगे का post था उनको पता था that these are terrorists coming, फिर भी they were ready.
Yes. In fact, कसाब को जब पकड़ा, तो उसके पहले काफी डैमेज हो चुका था.
Exactly.
And still Umle got and went and picked up his gun which was shooting bullets. तो उसमें से ही 4 बुलेट उसने अपने आप में ले लिए. That's great. That courage you can't really. So वो एक moment का जुनून भी होता है.
हाँ, which is why.
And come what may, whether I am alive or I am dead, I will catch this fellow.
My God, absolute salute to such people, really.
They are doing great job, no doubt about it. Yeah.
So former Commissioner of Police, Crime Branch, Mumbai, ATS Chief, IG Prison, इनको ना दुश्मन की गोली से डर लगता है, ना नेता की गाली से और ना किसी कंट्रोवर्सी से। एक वो चीज़ बताइए जो आपको डराती है।
Very difficult question. I will be afraid if at all. Now, of course, I have kind of ended my career. But if at all I am afraid of only one thing, that is failure in my mission.
In your mission?
In whatever I'm supposed to do. If I'm failing, I'll definitely be afraid of failing in it and would not like it.
That is not to be scared of.
No, I'll be scared of it. I am scared of
Okay.
failure. I'm scared of failure. Why should I fail? So whatever is required for that, the groundwork I'll do initially.
Correct.
And get into it.
Okay.
So, I mean, I don't know if I have answered you rightly.
No, I mean, you could have your take.
Huh.
But I just wanted to know, is there anything that scares you? Could be the minutest thing.
Nothing much actually.
That is good to know. So you have read both the Gita and the Quran.
Yes.
What is the common takeaway from both?
All the scriptures in the world, whether it is Quran, Bible, Gita, Bhagavad Gita or any other, I mean Zenda Vesta, whatever you see, they are books of religion, they are scriptures. They have always propounded good ideals for the individuals. So peace, love, affection, these are all you will find everywhere.
So there is so much negativity around you in your entire profession, your kind of job. How do you maintain your sanity? आप normal कैसे रहते हो after 30-35 years of so much happening around you?
I may not be able to still call myself a normal. I'll take some time to become a normal citizen. But over the period again, I mean, right from the beginning, this is a profession. This is your occupation. This is what you're supposed to do. This is your duty. But duty should not be everything in life. So you have to have some hobbies, some passions. So, I mean, for example, I like classical music. So I would listen to it whenever I can. I like reading good stuff, both fiction and non-fiction. So I would, whenever time permits, I would do that. I like to see good Marathi stage plays. I would want to do that. Meaningful things. So ये जो है ना, these things keep your pressure levels low, and then you are able to maintain semblance.
Some kind of normalcy.
Yeah. So ये पहले से करना जरूरी है. In fact, the thing that I wanted to do right from the beginning, which I could not do all through my career, was to learn some musical instrument. And I said, now I have retired. If I don't do it now, it will be bad. So now I have started playing things on the keyboard. And I have also started going to the market, buying sabji, doing tol mal bhav karna.
For a change.
So all those things I have started doing because I said, let me get into the normal life.
Right.
But this is very difficult.
Especially after this kind of career.
So it takes time.
So the most heartbreaking moment that you had on the crime scene, which shattered you inside?
Always all the terror incidents in which ordinary innocent citizens have lost their life has always been a heartbreaking thing. And then you feel, you could not do what was supposed to be done. So that feeling is always there. So if you ask me, this is the uppermost on my mind in terms of failure. This is where probably I have failed the society.
So any terror attack, and that's the most, that is your biggest failure.
Yes. Because I would always then go numb for a few hours at least, if not few days.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, I can only imagine. Yeah. Yes. Sir, पर इस सब में कोई दिल को तसल्ली देने वाला moment, something which was really worth remembering?
कई सारे हैं जिसमें you catch red-handed some terrorists. You question them, you take information out of them, you stall a terror attack from going through.
Oh yes.
These are, treasures of life.
Yes, absolutely. So your reputation always reaches before you, and yours is of too much of a clean cop. But कोई ऐसा अजीबो गरीब किस्सा हुआ आपके साथ जब आपको ब्राइब करने की कोशिश की गई?
Oh, I think yes. There was only one instance I remember. I was given 972 rupees.
बाप रे.
Offered, I mean, not given, offered. I had started my career, regular career from Latur. Those days, 30 years back, I'm telling, 32 years back. Those days, the amount of money that I had seized from there was some 25,000 rupees. I went on information, carried out the raid and came home putting all the people behind bars. Of course, one of them was a professor. वो दूसरे दिन मेरे पास आ गया घर पे. And then he said कि नहीं हमारा गलती हो गया, ये हो गया, वो हो गया, all in Marathi. And I have collected all the money that I have with me, and this is what it is. Please have this and take me out of the case. So that money was 972 rupees. So I made him sit in the chair there, offered him a cup of tea. I said, तुम घर आए हो तो मेहमान हो, चाय पी लो, पैसा उठाओ और निकल जाओ. हाँ. So that was the only incident in my life when I was offered some money directly.
So any advice that your well-wishing seniors gave you and that you would pass on to your aspiring juniors?
In terms of what?
In terms of your career.
Oh, career तो छोड़ दीजिए, but I can give, I can pass on some personal advice. One of our seniors in Maharashtra cadre was Mr. Medekar. He retired as DG Police. He said, be ready for suspension in your life. Whether you are at fault or not doesn't matter. Be ready for dismissal also. Whether again you are at fault or not, it doesn't matter. So he said, if you are going to be suspended, you should be prepared as to what you will do in suspension. A police officer leads a very active life. So suddenly if you are sitting at home and doing nothing, you will go insane. Yes. So he said, have some alternative occupation. तो किसी को लॉ करना है कर लो, किसी को और कुछ करना है कर लो, लिखने का है, कुछ म्यूजिक करना है. So you should have something to do after you are, let's say, suspended. And again, after you are dismissed, again the same activity continues. So that's a different thing. The second thing he said was, or rather third thing was, he said you should have your own home. And for that you should start preparing after your 10 years of service, 10 to 15 years of service. So, जगह फिक्स कर लो, कहाँ पे सेटल होना चाहते हो, घर बनाओ, ये सब. It was a fatherly advice from him. And I remembered that, and there was third advice also which he gave. He said, these days drinking is not a problem. Liquor drinking is not an issue. This is not a social stigma anymore. So if you guys are drinking, please remember, don't go beyond 2 pegs if you are drinking. And ensure that nobody carries you on shoulders once you are drunk.
Correct.
So these were the 3 pieces of advice from him, which I always passed on to the juniors.
Follow.
There is one more officer who gave me another set of advices for Mumbai. He said, you are getting posted to Mumbai for the first time. Mumbai is Maya Nagari, and he said there are 3 things which you should avoid in Mumbai. I said, bataiye sir. Well, the first thing you should avoid is avoid shopping at expensive places.
Okay.
I said, fine sir, well taken. Then he said, avoid hoteling at expensive hotels. I said, yes, that also is fine, well taken. In case I was not a very hotel going kind of. And the third thing he said, don't allow your thanedars to take your family for shopping. So that they don't either foot the bill or they don't, give you undue concessions. मतलब 100 रुपये का चीज़ आपको 20 रुपये में दे देगा तो obviously rest 80 he is going to either pay or he is going to make someone else pay or twist the society's ears.
Yes.
So these 3 pieces also I tried to follow. At the end of it, I don't have any flat, etc. in Mumbai. So straight I am landing in Pune, where I have some small house.
Okay.
So these were the pieces of advice.
So did you ever get suspended?
No, I didn't. I never got suspended. I got only one stinker in my life, which was also for wrong reasons, which I fought in tooth and nail.
So that is good to know. So straight officers who don't want to get bribed don't need to necessarily get suspended in the forces.
No, but the one who gets suspended is a person involved in bribes. ऐसा भी नहीं है.
Sir, your integrity, your values, or I would say your holistic development, इसका credit आप किसको देंगे?
इसका क्रेडिट एक तो आपका अपब्रिंगिंग जो है विद इन द फैमिली, पेरेंट्स एंड व्हाट इज द वैल्यू सिस्टम दैट यू हैव एट फैमिली. So that is one part of it. The second is I did my formative schooling in Pune's Jnana Prabodhini.
Oh, that says it all. Answer मिल गया.
तो उसमें the values that they inculcated in me, definitely they have stood me in good stead. And then of course a good friend circle subsequently, etc.
Coming to your family, because आपने अपने करियर में इतने अलग अलग टाइप के लोगों से पंगे लिए हैं. So your family life or your personal life, I'm sure is very different from ours, let's say. क्योंकि आपको तो जैसे हमने बात की थी, आपको तो WhatsApp पे DP भी लगाने नहीं होता था. हाँ, so that is something very small but very big. इतना भी freedom नहीं है. ऐसे आपका फैमिली लाइफ, एक तो पहले आपकी फैमिली के बारे में बताइए और किस तरह से आपका फैमिली लाइफ भी अफेक्ट होता है या फैमिली अफेक्ट होती है बिकॉज ऑफ योर प्रोफेशन.
Okay. Now with my family, about my immediate family, wife and 2 children. One son has done his engineering. He is right now in some foreign country with some company. Then somehow both of us, me and my wife, we felt at some point of time when we were in Arunachal Pradesh, we need to have a daughter also.
Okay.
So what to do? I mean, you are at an advanced age in that sense. So this was practically the last year when then we went through the adoption route.
Oh.
I'm very happy. I have a girl child who's adopted and who's doing very well. So just discussing, and she is now into art, tennis, piano, etc. So good. She's developing very well.
Wow.
As you rightly said, family has never been able to have a normal life.
Right.
So my wife always sees. मैंने किसी क्लर्क से मैरिज किया था तो क्या रहता, तो मैं शाम को उसके साथ में मार्केट में घूमने जाता.
At least.
So that has never happened because we have never seen Sham at home or with any family members.
So even on a holiday, you are a cop only because so much potential information you have.
Absolutely. I'll tell you that also. When I was in this prison department, heading prison department, suddenly the news started appearing on the TV that इसका posting हो गया है नया additional DG करके. Next day I was supposed to go on a tour. Veena Travels के साथ में I was supposed to travel with family to Kashmir. So the photo आने लगा, सब चीज़ आने लगा. Then I checked up with one of my seniors in Delhi. I said, boss ऐसा है, अभी क्या करूँ मैं? बोले नहीं, you have to drop your plan.
Oh.
Your photo is now seen there. If it is seen by somebody, and if you are on tour and you are kind of just taken hostage by those fellows, they will have taken hostage of a Government of India officer.
Yes.
And you will have embarrassed Government of India before even joining Government of India. So I then dropped my plan.
So even आपने बताया था कि आप घर से ऑफिस तक जाते हो, तब आप हर टाइम अलग-अलग रूट से जाते हो.
Yes.
ऐसे
Timing, route change करना, all this care you have to take.
Even your family must be at risk, no, at times. So not revealing their whereabouts.
I have kind of developed these habits in them also. So my daughter also now, when she sits in taxi, car, etc., whatever, if she has to go somewhere, after sitting in the car, she tells the driver, यहाँ जाना है करके. She never tells earlier.
Correct.
पहले नहीं बताती है कि अपने को यहाँ जाना है, चलो तैयार हो जाओ, निकलना है. So that habit I have inculcated in everybody.
सर मैंने या हम लोगों ने, हम सारे नॉर्मल सिटीजन्स ने जितने भी ATS ऑफिसर्स या पुलिस चीफ देखे हैं, वो सब हमारी बॉलीवुड मूवीज़ में देखे हैं. आप सिंघम ले लीजिए, सूर्यवंशी ले लीजिए. सो इफ़ एवर अ बॉलीवुड फ्लिक इज मेड ऑन यू, हु वुड यू वांट टू बी योर अतुल चंद्र कुलकर्णी? कौन सा हीरो आपके दिमाग में आता है?
Very difficult to answer, but Atul Kulkarni himself will do well.
Nice.
They are actually in the process. Somebody is doing it.
Really?
They are. I actually want to resist that. And Suryavanshi, you mentioned,
Yes.
Suryavanshi has given credits to me.
Yes, I saw that.
But I disliked that because whatever I told that Rohit Shetty guy, दो घंटा मेरे पास बैठा रहा वो, उसको सब चीज बताया किस तरीके से करना है, उसका सब उल्टा कर लिया उसने. And I actually, looked down.
This is not what you wanted to portray.
This is not what I wanted to show.
Definitely. So at least उस बहाने हमको ATS chief क्या होता है? We got a glamorous picture.
Well, that
of
is too glamorous to believe. It's not true. Real life heroes, or as you said in the beginning, superheroes, are nondescript. उसके लिए वो कौन सा मनोज बाजपेयी का कौन सा सीरियल चलता है नेटफ्लिक्स पे, फैमिली मैन. हाँ. The family man is a good thing.
Very real life kind of a hero.
Nondescript kind of a thing, kind of a fellow. So that is the real life.
Sir, one last wholesome question. Any lesson that life taught you and that you would like to share with our viewers?
Very difficult to talk about only one lesson, and also to say that it is taught by my life alone. But basically, from whatever has been the journey in life so far, one thing that has actually deeply impacted me is the Bhagavad Gita one verse, Karmanyevadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. So basically, you keep on doing your duty. Don't worry about the fruit or the outcome. But let us rest assured the outcome will always be good.
Wow.
And it will always be positive for you.
Great.
So that's one thing.
Lovely. That was such a wholesome answer.
Thank you.
धवल भानोद जी की कुछ पंक्तियां यहाँ सुनाना चाहूंगी. जिहाद खुद से था तेरा, फिर औरों को क्यों रुलाया. जिहाद खुद से था तेरा, फिर औरों को क्यों रुलाया. बस इतना बता दे ए मुसाफिर, इस तरह जन्नत जाके भी तूने क्या पाया. With that, we conclude on SoulSome today. Do like, share, subscribe and comment on SoulSome with Sarika, where we bring to you yet another person behind the persona. Till then, take care guys. Remember, life is short. Live it fully, love unconditionally and laugh out wholeheartedly. Thank you and God be with all of us.